if you're a pupil at Coram Chambers, you're going to be going to court a lot and learning on the coalface how to be a barrister. If you're a pupil here, you will get experience of all the different ranges of family law, from care proceedings to financial remedies to private law children. And we in fact have a partnership with another chambers whereby we do a swap, and pupils from those chambers come to us for a few weeks and our pupils go there just to see how a different chambers works.
One of the brilliant things about pupilage at Coram is you get a real grounding in the full breadth of family law. So we specialise not only in public children law, which is care proceedings, so when the state through children's services gets involved because of concerns, say, about abuse of children, we do that, but also at the other end of the spectrum we deal with exceptionally wealthy people or high profile people going through the divorce process. And in the middle we also deal with day-to-day children disputes on separation, where parents are arguing about which place or country children should live in. And one of the things we're really keen to make sure for our pupils is that they see all of that. One of the ways we do it is that when you start pupilage, we sit down and have a conversation with you. And we ask pupils, what are they interested in? And sometimes they say, I don't really know. I'm here to learn, I want to see everything, and that's brilliant. Sometimes equally they say, I want to learn everything, but I've got a particular passion for a more niche area of family law. And we'll then communicate that to members of chambers and ensure that that pupil spends time with members of chambers who specialise in that area and gets to go to court with them and sees those or works on those particular cases.
It's a really steep learning curve when you first come in, and it is intimidating because you're exposed to work that you're likely not to have seen before. I certainly hadn't seen public children work before. So it was intimidating, but I felt really supported very quickly. I had a great supervisor in my first 4 months, and I felt like no question was a silly question and that I could really learn in a comfortable environment.
I've had a number of different pupils, and I've had them at every stage of their journey, from right at the beginning when they walk into chambers and they have never spent any time in court and never worked in this field at all, to right at the end of their journey when they're on their feet doing their own advocacy. And I love both aspects of it, because when you're assisting someone at the end, you can see all that they've learned at Coram being put into practice, and you're getting feedback from solicitors to say, well, this particular pupil did really well, or you see them being re-instructed by solicitors, which shows they're doing a great job.
The amazing thing about your first 6, which you will never appreciate while you are a pupil, is that you get to see these absolutely extraordinary cases. You get to go up to the High Court, sometimes even further up the tree to the Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, and see the most extraordinary advocacy. I saw some absolutely amazing public law trials in the High Court with a whole bench of silks doing their thing.
At the beginning, when you're shadowing as a pupil, your responsibility to start with is just showing up on time, taking a good note, and absorbing everything around you. You're not really thrown a bunch of work as soon as you get through the door. That's not how it works. And then as time goes on and you are exposed to more documents and bundles and cases, you are given responsibility for drafting things, for suggesting, for example, how your supervisor should go about their cross-examination, for drafting a position statement or a case summary, and they will then give you feedback and help you improve on those documents. And then the responsibility, of course, increases massively when you get on your feet and you're managing your own cases.
On reflection, one of the things I'd say is that certainly the way that Coram built a safeguard around the pupils. So not only did I have my pupil supervisors, I also had a mentor who was not going to be involved in the decision making. So I could go to her and talk to her about anything that I wanted to do, anything that was worrying me. I had that place of safety that I could go and have a cup of tea with her and say, I'm worrying about this or worrying about that. And she would say, you don't need to worry about that, or why don't you think about this? And that was incredibly helpful to have that place of safety and security. And in addition, there was obviously the pupil supervisors within the pupilage team. And they were there as ports of call who were closer to the junior end, and they could help with, you know, where you could look something up or how would you approach this particular case. And so at all times, you had at least 5 people around you supporting you within that process.
The way it works at Coram, you have 3 supervisors. Generally, you have a child practitioner, like a care practitioner. Then you have like a seat in finance, and then your 3rd supervisor is usually a bit of everything. So for the first 4 months, it was a lot of care proceedings, children law, a little bit of private children, and then you switch supervisor and you do finance and private children, which is completely different. And then during that second seat, you switch to second 6. And I quite like the way Coram do it, because when you start second 6, you're already very familiar with your supervisor at the time. Some chambers will have it that when you swap to second 6, you also swap supervisors, which is tricky because you want someone you can trust and someone you're familiar with. If you're stood in court and you basically have to say, I've got no idea what I'm doing, you want the person you're saying it to understand and to help you and to be a friend, really, as well as a supervisor. I have been doing a lot of private children work since I started, and that often involves disputes over what's happening to a child, who they're living with, how much time they're spending with the other parent, and often my cases involve serious allegations of domestic abuse. I've also done a lot of injunctions, so sometimes they're emergency injunctions. We get the papers the night before, and the next morning we're in court dealing with a non-molestation order or an occupation order. And I've been enjoying the variety. Each day is really different, and each case is completely different, because you're working with a human being who has a very specific set of concerns, and each case, you know, you'll have a new solicitor as well. So every week and every day is different.